Hi, this is Mr. Smith, also known as 1T. That's because my first name is Scott and my mom only spelled it with 1T. Go figure. Anyway, here I am bunkered down in my apartment, just trying to see out this virus, as we all are. And I just wanted to say a few words about myself to just kind of let you know where I'm coming from and let you know a little bit more about me. And so, anyway, that's what we're going to do here. I actually grew up in Southern California, lived most of my life in the West, so I would say I was a West Coast guy. Last 7 years, I've been in Texas, so I'm learning how to do the Texan thing and what it means to be or in the Gulf Coast region. So it's a whole different world. I'm still learning a lot, but enjoying new opportunities, and it's been interesting. This is my second year at Brookhaven. Prior to that, I spent 6 years in at San Jacinto College in Houston. And I have to say, especially this last year, it's just been crazy. Amazing what we've gone through this past year. So I'm hoping for a lot better things this second year. But, I feel very blessed. I love what I do. And in fact, just having a job right now is something I'm extremely grateful for and thankful for. I know a lot of people are really struggling right now. So I know I have it very good. And in fact, I'm lucky enough, not only do I have a job, I have a job that I love. It's my dream job. I love teaching math. I love teaching students at the community college level. It's like the perfect marriage. And so, I look at the community college as a place of second chances, whether it's a high school student that never really intended to be a college student and maybe has a lot of holes, maybe didn't get the best foundation, or a student that returns after spending some time out in the so-called real world, and now they know what they want to do and they're motivated, but they have these holes, and math, we all know, can be a real struggle for students. Or even, like the mom that raised a family and now she's coming back to do college and get a degree and is not even sure if she can be a college student. And so these are the kinds of students I teach every semester, and it gives me great joy to be able to help them to discover that they can be successful if they're willing to put in the time. And I've seen so many students that were able to turn it around and build that confidence and go on and reach their goals and pursue their dreams. And to be a part of that is just a very, very rewarding thing for me. I just love being involved with that. So I'm going to go back to my early years just because they do have something to do with my whole personality and makeup. They were rocky years. My dad and mom my mom ran away with my dad. They got married in Las Vegas. And for the first 5 years of my life, they literally would move when my father would get in trouble with the law. He was legally blind and he couldn't drive, but he didn't let that stop him. And he always managed to find a way to get in trouble. And so then we would be moving. So that was our first 5 years. And then when I was 5, he was actually shot and killed in a bar. And so here's my mom, 5'2". She's got 3 kids, 5 and under, and she's responsible to raise this family. And fortunately, she was able to go spend time with her family to kind of get herself back on her feet. And eventually she got a decent job and an apartment, and she was able to take care of us on her own. And she raised my brother and sister and I. And, on the one hand, things were difficult. We went through some really hard times. But on the other hand, we always knew that our mom loved us just incredibly. I mean, just the love of a mother like no other. And we saw how she sacrificed for us. She worked so hard for us. And she was determined that we would have a better life. And because of that, we all respected my mom and we loved her, and we wanted to make her proud, I guess you could say. I was always a good student. I always worked hard. it was my goal that I would go off to college, and someday I'd be the first one to graduate in my family from college. And I wanted to be that father someday and have my own family, the father that I had never had. And so those were my dreams and my goals. And now, as we got closer to me going to college, even though I was a great student and I really enjoyed learning, my mom remarried late, and my stepfather wasn't willing to help us at all once we graduated. It's like, you're on your way, that's it. And so we had to take care of ourselves. Once we were 18, we were able to stay for the summer, and then we had to go. And so I realized I wasn't going to get the scholarships I would need in order to go to the university. And so I entered the military, where I got some scholarships. And while I was in the Army, I was able to save up money to buy a car so that when I got out, I would have reliable transportation to get me through college. And so while I was in the Army, I actually ended up stationed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And in fact, I spent one summer on special duty as a lifeguard at Possum Kingdom Lake, a military resort, literally an hour and a half from where I currently live. And so it's amazing. I remember being in the military and at that resort, and I had met some really great people. And I just remember thinking, I'm never really going to see these guys again. I'm going to go back to Southern California. So I didn't really maintain those relationships, unfortunately. And, back then we didn't have cell phones, so it was a lot easier. It's a lot easier these days to keep in touch. But here I am back in Texas, and I wish I had kept in touch with some of those people. So anyway, finally I got out of the military. I spent 2 years, and I ended up at Cerritos College. I'd always thought I'd go to the university. I mean, I had great grades, and I just thought of myself as university material, and so what am I doing here in the community college? I mean, I did it because of practical reasons. I had college money, but I didn't have enough that I could afford the 4-year university for 4 years. So, in the beginning, I wasn't excited to be there, but I actually ended up having a great experience at Cerritos College in Southern California. And in fact, I had 2 math teachers there that later inspired me to go on and teach at the community college. While I was in college, I actually had to work, and I worked as a lifeguard, teaching swimming lessons also, mostly teaching swimming lessons. And that was a great gig. I'm telling you, I made great money, and I was just playing with kids most of the time. Although I was teaching, and so I loved it. And I also really loved teaching the adults. And the thing that was so great is these people come to you, they had some terrible experiences, and they're really afraid of drowning. And if you can teach those kind of adults to swim, they're just so appreciative. And it's really a lot like what happens in a math course, where you have students that have had bad experiences, or they're very fearful that they're not going to be able to do this. And if you can help them be successful, for me, that's just amazing experience to be a part of, if you can make a difference for those kind of people. So anyway, I graduated from Cerritos, and I went off to Long Beach State, and that's where I ended up earning a bachelor's degree. And I also met my wife during those years, and we dated for about 2 years. She actually turned out to be a math teacher as well, although it's not like we met in a math class. It was just a really huge coincidence. And, and meeting my wife and the choice to marry her was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. We're on our 31st year. She came from an extremely stable family. In fact, I truly married a family, and it's been so wonderful to be a part of that. And they've been such a big part of our family and in raising our 3 sons. So after we got out of college, we ended up moving to Arizona, to a town called Peoria. And it was just a really And yes, it is really hot in Arizona. We were actually there the day it was 121 degrees. That is hot. But I will tell you, the winters were wonderful. But it was also a great place to raise our kids. So let's see, what do I want to tell you here? We were always pretty, we liked to do stuff. I was always into sports. I grew up playing baseball, rooting for the Dodgers, and played a little bit of football, but mostly baseball and basketball. I used to play basketball every weekend, just about. And was just always very active. These days, I do a lot of biking and swimming. And, when we were younger, we used to go camping. These days, we will like rent a cabin and get the family together and just really enjoy hanging out with the family, having game nights and doing those types of things, barbecuing, just spending time together. So that's just kind of a little bit about us. So I guess I'm down to the end here. I just want to share a few words about my kids. We put a lot of time into those guys, so we're kind of proud of them. So my first son is Wesley, and he actually went to Wesleyan, Nebraska. And it actually turned out to be a great place for him to go to school. Not only did it prepare him well to eventually go to medical school, but he also played soccer there. In fact, all of my kids grew up on soccer. My first son got into it and had a great experience, and then the other two just kind of followed. And next thing you know, Dad's coaching soccer, and I never even liked soccer growing up. I mean, that's just the way life works sometimes. Kids have a way of changing your life. And I actually eventually ended up teaching or coaching soccer at the high school level. And I'm a big Manchester United fan if you ever want to talk soccer. But anyway, all to say, my son had a great experience there. He played soccer. It was like a Division III level type of soccer, but it was truly, being a student athlete is very challenging. And he was also very involved in leadership. He was a team captain and did a lot for the team and just prepared him really well to go off to medical school. And by the way, this is our son we never thought he would be. In fact, we never really thought any of our sons would go off to medical school, but especially this one, because in high school, he loved the social aspects of high school, but he wasn't a big fan of the academics. I mean, he was smart and he would work hard. I shouldn't say he didn't work hard, but he was the kind of kid, I mean, he would get the lowest A possible, and that would give him great joy, because he knew that we had high expectations for him, but he just wasn't into the school thing. So it was hard to see him wanting to ever put the kind of time in that you have to go to medical school. But anyway, he did, and he ended up at UT Southwestern, and so he actually graduated this past May. And it's what brought us to Dallas is him and his wife will be here the next 5 years because he's doing residency. And so that's why we're here. That's my first son. My middle son, well, he was the one that, he was like the dream child for the two math teachers as far as his career ambitions. He was very good at math. And he wanted to either be he either wanted to be a mathematician or an engineer. Well, he ended up going to Texas A&M, had a wonderful experience there. We used to go see football games, and we did a lot of stuff while he was there, had a lot of fun. He loves that school. But anyway, all to say, he's graduated. He's gone back to Peoria, Arizona. He got married, and he works for a small company, engineering company in the Phoenix area. So that's my middle son. And then my last son, he's the one I call my wild card. Never really into the college thing. He tried doing college for a little while, but it just couldn't keep him interested. I mean, he wasn't going to sit through a boring class with a boring teacher and feel like he wasn't really learning much. Anyway, unfortunately, sometimes when you get an education, there's going to be those classes that you just kind of grin and bear it and get through it. And he's just not willing to do that kind of thing. So he was determined. I mean, it's funny, when he first left our house, he just couldn't wait to get rid of us. He was ready to be off and do his own thing. And over like the year after that, little by little, he kind of grew back, and he decided he liked and loved Mom and Dad again. But all to say, he's the one that gave us the most challenging years. But he's like I said, he's the wild card. Let me just tell you about his work history the last 3 years. So he's had 3 great jobs. He worked at AT&T for about a year. He literally had reached a point where he was looking at management positions, and he had developed some respect with his superiors, or earned some respect, I guess you could say. And he always had the gift of gab. He literally interviewed and was offered a job to make over $120,000 a year as a supervisor and manager. He ended up not taking the job because he had never managed anybody before, which is quite interesting. It's a long story, but all to say, it wasn't long after that he ended up moving elsewhere. He got an opportunity to do what's called horizontal drilling at a mine, where they literally drill into the side of mountains to relieve pressure, water pressure, and I guess that protects from landslides and that kind of stuff. He was on schedule to earn over $100,000 doing that job. I think he worked about 9 months. So really good money, but hard work. And now he had met a friend recently, not long ago, and his friend has a tree business, and he was wanting to expand a different side of the business. And so that's what my son is doing now. So all to say, I have no idea what he'll be doing next year, but he's the kind of person that works hard, and but he's just not really the designed for college. And so it just goes to show you, not everybody was meant to go to college. But all to say, I guess that's me and my family, and thank you for listening, and I really hope we have a great semester together.